Marcus Aurelius believed that peace does not come from controlling events, but from controlling judgment. You do not choose what happens. You choose how you meet it. This distinction defined his philosophy. As emperor, Marcus ruled during war, plague, and betrayal. He did not write for applause. He wrote reminders to himself, because power does not protect the mind from chaos. Only discipline does. Marcus taught that most suffering is created internally. Events arrive, neutral. It is the mind that labels them unbearable, unfair, or disastrous. Remove the judgment, and the event loses its weight. This did not mean denying pain. It meant refusing to add unnecessary suffering. Pain is real. Anguish is optional. One of Marcus Aurelius's core teachings was focus on what belongs to you, your thoughts, your actions, your character. Everything else, other people's behavior, outcomes, fortune, does not belong to you. The moment you try to control what is not yours, you invite frustration. Freedom begins when responsibility ends at the correct boundary. Do your part. Release the rest. Marcus also taught urgency without anxiety. He reminded himself constantly, you can leave life right now, not to create fear, but clarity. When time is finite, petty concerns lose importance. Ego softens. Distractions fall away. What remains is the essential. He believed procrastination was a form of self-deception. Waiting to live later was the same as not living at all. Act now. Speak honestly. Do what is right while the chance exists. Another central teaching was resistance to bitterness. Marcus understood that people disappoint. They act selfishly. They misunderstand. They betray trust. He taught that resentment damages the one who carries it. Anger, he believed, is a refusal to accept human nature. People act according to their understanding. Expecting perfection from flawed beings is a recipe for misery. So he trained compassion, not sentimentality, but understanding. Understanding reduces anger. Anger clouds judgment. The calm mind is the effective mind. Marcus Aurelius also emphasized discipline of thought. You become what you repeatedly think. If your thoughts are hostile, your life becomes hostile. If your thoughts are orderly, your life becomes stable. He warned against letting the mind wander unchecked. The unguarded mind invites chaos. So he practiced mental vigilance, rejecting destructive thoughts before they take root. Not every impression deserves agreement. You can observe a thought without accepting it. This ability, Marcus believed, was the foundation of inner freedom. Finally, Marcus taught humility before nature. You are a small part of a vast system. The universe owes you nothing, and that is not an insult. It is perspective. Accepting this removes entitlement and replaces it with resilience. You were not created for comfort. You were created to act with reason and virtue, to endure, to contribute, to remain steady. This was Marcus Aurelius's promise. Not happiness, not ease, but strength without arrogance, calm without illusion, and peace that does not depend on circumstance. Marcus Aurelius believed that discipline was not something you switched on when life became difficult. It had to be practiced daily, long before pressure arrived. He reminded himself that the mind, left untrained, defaults to comfort, and comfort, over time, erodes strength. So Marcus trained himself to rise without complaint, to meet the day without resentment, not because it was easy, but because resistance wasted energy. Every morning, he told himself, you will meet interference, ingratitude, selfishness, dishonesty, not as a reason for anger, but as preparation. What is expected does not shock. What is anticipated does not destabilize. Another lesson Marcus repeated was obedience to reason. Emotion arrives quickly. Reason arrives slowly. The disciplined mind waits. He taught that reacting immediately was a form of surrender. Surrender to impulse. Surrender to mood. Delay creates freedom. A pause between impression and response allows judgment to return. That pause is where strength lives. Marcus also warned against seeking refuge in distraction, endless entertainment, noise, constant input. These did not heal the mind. They numbed it. He believed clarity required stillness. Silence was not emptiness. It was order. A mind that never rests cannot see clearly. So he returned to solitude, not to escape responsibility, but to realign, to remember what mattered. Another core teaching was endurance without complaint. Marcus believed complaining was a refusal to accept one's role. You were born for action, to do useful work, to contribute to the whole. Complaining drains the will and benefits no one. If something can be changed, change it. If it cannot, endure it with dignity. There was no middle ground. He also taught that the body should not be indulged. Comfort was not evil, but dependency was. The more you require to feel okay, the weaker you become. Marcus practiced simplicity, plain food, modest living, limited desire, not as punishment, but as preparation. The person who needs little cannot be easily disturbed. He also reminded himself that fame was empty. Applause fades. Recognition disappears. Those who praise you today forget you tomorrow. To build life on approval was to build on sand. Character, he believed, was the only possession that endured. Another lesson Marcus emphasized was unity with others. You're not separate. You're part of a system. To act against others was to act against yourself. This understanding softened conflict. When people acted poorly, Marcus asked not, "How do I punish?" but "How do I remain just?" Justice, to him, was strength guided by reason. Finally, Marcus taught readiness. Readiness for loss. Readiness for death. Readiness for change. Not fear. Acceptance. You could leave life at any moment. Let that determine what you do, what you say, and what you think. This was not a threat. It was a compass. Live so that departure holds no regret. Act with integrity now. Remain steady now, because the present moment is the only place virtue can exist. Marcus Aurelius believed that most people live as if they are owed ease. They expect cooperation. They expect understanding. They expect comfort. And when life refuses to comply, they feel wronged. Marcus rejected this expectation entirely. He reminded himself daily that life owes nothing. People will act selfishly. Plans will collapse. Effort will go unrewarded. This was not pessimism. It was accuracy. And accuracy produces calm. When you stop demanding that reality behave differently, frustration weakens. You're no longer shocked by resistance. You're prepared for it. Marcus taught that resistance was not an obstacle to life. It was life. The obstacle is not what blocks the path. It is the path. Every difficulty, every delay, every irritation is training. Training in patience. Training in discipline. Training in restraint. The mind either strengthens under resistance or breaks under complaint. Marcus chose strength. He also taught mastery of inner dialogue. How you speak to yourself becomes how you experience life. A hostile inner voice creates a hostile world. A disciplined inner voice creates order. Marcus corrected himself constantly, not with cruelty, but with firmness. He refused to indulge self-pity. He refused to exaggerate hardship. He reminded himself, this is tolerable. This is temporary. This is survivable. Perspective, he believed, was power. Another teaching Marcus returned to was the danger of mental clutter. Too many opinions, too many judgments, too many distractions. The mind becomes noisy and loses direction. He encouraged simplification of thought. Focus on the essential. What is required of me now? What is the virtuous response? What can I control? Everything else is excess. Excess thinking creates paralysis. Clear thinking creates movement. Marcus believed clarity was a moral responsibility. A confused mind cannot act justly. Finally, Marcus taught seriousness without heaviness. Life was not a joke, but neither was it a burden. Do your work with sincerity. Face hardship without dramatization. Do not inflate problems to feel important. Do not minimize responsibility to avoid effort. Carry yourself with quiet resolve. This balance between effort and acceptance was Marcus Aurelius's discipline. Marcus Aurelius believed that weakness often disguises itself as indulgence, indulging emotion, indulging comfort, indulging delay. What feels gentle in the moment often creates fragility over time. So Marcus practiced resistance to his own impulses, not harshness, control. He taught that the body should obey the mind, not command it. Hunger passes, fatigue passes, desire passes, but character remains. Marcus trained himself to act despite discomfort, to rise when tired, to work when uninspired, to remain composed when provoked. He believed discipline created freedom. The disciplined person is not ruled by mood. Another lesson Marcus emphasized was emotional containment, not repression, containment. Emotion was allowed to exist, but not to dominate. Anger could be felt, but not obeyed. Grief could be acknowledged, but not indulged endlessly. He believed emotion should inform reason, not replace it. The person ruled by emotion is always unstable. The person guided by reason remains steady. Marcus also taught reverence for effort. Effort mattered more than outcome. You may act correctly and still fail. This did not negate the value of the action. Virtue, he believed, was self-contained. It did not require success to justify it. Do the right thing because it is right, not because it guarantees reward. This freed the mind from attachment to results. Another core teaching was humility about achievement. Marcus ruled an empire, yet reminded himself that glory fades, names are forgotten, monuments decay, memory dissolves. To chase legacy was vanity. To act well now was sufficient. This humility protected the mind from arrogance and disappointment alike. Finally, Marcus taught service. You are not born for yourself alone. You're part of a larger whole. Your duty is contribution. To withdraw from responsibility is to betray your nature. Work is not punishment. It is purpose. To contribute is to align with life itself. This belief grounded Marcus amid overwhelming responsibility. Marcus Aurelius believed that inner peace was not something discovered. It was constructed, built through repeated choices, choice by choice, moment by moment. He taught that every situation offers two options: to respond with discipline or to react with impulse. The difference determines the quality of your life. Marcus warned against emotional dramatization. Pain does not require commentary. Difficulty does not require exaggeration. When the mind dramatizes, suffering multiplies. So he trained himself to describe events plainly. This happened. This is difficult. This is manageable. Neutral language keeps the mind neutral. Neutrality preserves strength. Another major teaching was resilience through meaning. Endurance without meaning leads to despair. But endurance with purpose creates resilience. Marcus believed duty gave pain context. Suffering endured for nothing feels unbearable. Suffering endured for principle feels tolerable. This is why he returned constantly to values: justice, discipline, rationality, service. These were anchors in uncertainty. He also taught detachment from outcome. You plant seeds. You do not command harvest. The farmer works regardless of weather. So should you. Detach effort from expectation. This reduces disappointment without reducing commitment. Marcus believed this mindset was the cure for bitterness. Another lesson he emphasized was mortality awareness. You could leave life today. This truth was not morbid. It was motivating. It sharpened urgency, clarified priorities, eliminated trivial concerns. When death is remembered, time becomes precious. Wasted energy feels intolerable. Marcus used mortality as a guide for action. Speak honestly, act justly, delay nothing essential. Finally, Marcus taught self-respect, not ego, not pride. Respect for your own capacity to act rightly. Do not betray yourself for convenience. Do not abandon principle for comfort. You always know when you are avoiding what is right. That awareness is your guide. Follow it. This, to Marcus Aurelius, was a path to tranquility. Not ease, not pleasure, but a steady mind in an unsteady world.